What's up, everyone? Welcome to the channel. Today we are making the welterweight division great again by matchmaking it, and we're going to start off by finding Leon Edwards' next opponent, which I thoroughly believe should be Belal Muhammad. I know it's not the most exciting title fight, and personally I would rather see JDM, Shavkat, or Gilbert Burns fight him because I think that's the more entertaining and exciting fight on paper, but Belal 100% deserves the next title shot, and although he is a little bit boring, I'm not the biggest fan of him, and I can see what some fans are saying, and they don't really like his personality. They aren't super intrigued in Leon versus Belal because we just saw Leon versus Colby and Leon versus Usman, who are wrestlers that do have some hands. But Belal does have some tools to make this fight pretty interesting. When the fight happens, I will be interested because Belal is not a joke. He definitely does have some skills and he has a very high fight IQ. And let's just talk about some of his tools that I think could work pretty well against Leon Edwards. Belal has a very solid jab, and he's very good at switching stances. Now, maybe not the greatest jab in the world, but he has a pretty solid jab out of both stances. We saw it doing wonders against Vicente Luque. Switching stances could be something that, confuses Leon potentially a little bit. He has a very nice body kick. He has some nice cardio, and he's also pretty defensively sound. A little bit more defensively sound than Colby, and he's better off the back foot than Colby. We saw Vicente Luque in the second fight pressure him a lot. He used some nice head movement to stay out of the strikes from Vicente Luque. Switch stances a lot, pop the jab a lot, and he has very good cardio as well. I know he's gotten locked up by Vicente Luque before, but he's kind of hard to catch with a clean shot, and he hasn't been finished since then. Belal's on a massive win streak. There is no way you should be giving Shavkat the title shot over him. Yeah, I like Shavkat, and even if you do Belal versus Shavkat, which a lot of people are saying, it doesn't make sense because Shavkat is injured right now, his foot is hurt, and it's going to take him at probably minimum 4 months to book his next fight. And if that happens, Belal versus Shavkat happens, and that's a title elimination bout. We're not going to see Leon Edwards for another 8 months. This division just needs to stay active. We will find Shavkat a title elimination bout. Just give it some time. So yeah, my official prediction would be Leon Edwards though, because we have seen him stuff the takedowns from Kamaru Usman, from Colby Covington. He has shown some very solid jiu-jitsu in his own right as well. And I do think he keeps it on the feet, and he does outpoint Belal Muhammad by decision, probably like a 49-46 type of thing. But Belal has a good chance. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to keep underrating the guy. I thought Gilbert Burns was going to beat him. And Gilbert Burns obviously did break his arm, which is why a lot of people are saying, well, he doesn't deserve the title shot. Well, maybe if this is the lightweight division where Gaethje and Oliveira both deserve title shots, but really this is the welterweight division where the most deserving title contender outside of Belal Muhammad is Shavkat Rakhmonov. And also going into that fight, Dana White said nonstop, yeah, whoever wins this fight will get the title shot 100%. Belal Muhammad took it on short notice. I know it wasn't very impressive considering Gilbert Burns broke his arm in the first round, but still, Belal's on a massive win streak. He's proved that he's one of the more skilled fighters in this division. You have to give it to Belal Muhammad. And yeah, I mean, Leon Edwards also had a very similar win streak, was coming off a win against Nate Diaz, and got the title shot against Kamaru Usman, in all fairness. So, like, it's just a welterweight division. And also, I do want to mention, when I go through this video, I'm going to be booking some other matchups. I don't view Kamaru Usman as a part of the welterweight division because I think he has expressed after UFC 294 that he wants to stay at the middleweight division. They might do Usman versus Whitaker, Usman versus Vettori, something like that. I think he will look to stay at the middleweight division. As he said, the welterweight weight cut is a little bit hard for him. The only real matchup I could see them doing is maybe Usman versus Wonderboy, and I have a matchup for Wonderboy that I'll get to later in the video, or Usman versus Shavkat, and I don't really like that matchup because if you do Shavkat versus Usman and Usman wins that fight, Usman doesn't get a title shot, and now Shavkat's kind of fucked, right? You want to have a fresh title contender 100%. I mean, Usman will not get a title shot if he wins even 2 fights if Leon Edwards is a champion, because Leon just knocked him out and then kind of picked him apart for, 5 rounds in the recent fight. So Usman's at middleweight. That's how we're doing this. We're going to move on to the next matchup that I want to book, which is going to be Leon Edwards' next title challenger, considering he beats Belal Muhammad, maybe Belal Muhammad's next title challenger, but the next title challenger after Belal Muhammad, which will be the winner of Shavkat Rakhmonov versus the winner of Gilbert Burns versus JDM. I know a lot of people say, well, timing-wise, that doesn't work out. Gilbert Burns and Jack Della Maddalena are the 2 most active fighters in the entire division. If you would tell them, hey, if you beat the other opponent and then you turn around quickly and fight Shavkat Rakhmonov and the winner of that will get a title shot, they will do it. I guarantee you that. I think Belal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards will probably take place at UFC 302, like I mentioned. Probably the co-main event of Adesanya versus Pereira, because when it comes to timing-wise, it's going to be hard to really find a great place to put Mr. Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad. He needs to be the co-main event of something. Then UFC 301, I do believe is going to be Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev wouldn't fight on UFC 300 because it's during Ramadan. Right after Ramadan is going to be UFC 301. He needs to be fighting. This division needs to be active. I think it'll be Islam Makhachev versus Justin Gaethje or Charles Oliveira. And Leon versus Belal will more than likely not be the co-main event to that, just because they rarely ever do higher weight classes as the co-main event as a lower weight class. So that brings us to UFC 302, where I think it would be the co-main event of Jamal Hill versus Israel Adesanya. Not Israel Adesanya. What's his fucking name? Alex Pereira. Jeez. And then the co-main event, Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad. So that's where I think it could happen. And if UFC 300 is Conor McGregor, it's going to take a while to book this division. So that gives you time to book 2 fights in the meantime. UFC 299, we do have Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena. You could probably have them return on the same card that Leon Edwards fights Belal Muhammad, considering it could be UFC 302 if that's the way that the scheduling plays out. And then that's a title elimination bout. That would be a lot of fun, and it would guarantee a new stylistic matchup that Leon Edwards would face that's very interesting and entertaining. I would pick, as of now, Jack Della Maddalena to beat Gilbert Burns. I think he has shown some solid takedown defense in his own right throughout his career, outside of when he decides to jump guillotines against Basil Hafez. I think he's smart enough to know that Gilbert Burns is a multiple-time IBJFF world champion, solid with the jiu-jitsu, and he's probably the better striker. I think he's going to be good enough to stop the takedowns, and he's the better striker than Gilbert Burns. He's literally like 10 years younger than him. He's going to be improving rapidly, and he did look somewhat impressive against the Kevin Holland. I know it wasn't a massive banger fight, but he could stay technical. He showed that there was a method to the madness, and while did he look like, I don't know, I'm going to say prime Conor McGregor. I'm just throwing out a name, but did he look like a fantastic fighter out there, like an absolute champ material? No. If he finished Kevin Holland, maybe, but I do think Gilbert Burns is somewhat of a favorable matchup for him, and I do favor him in the striking realm, and I think it will be on the feet. So JDM wins that fight. Then we have him turn around and fight Shavkat Rakhmonov probably 3 months later if it's at UFC 302. And I put them on the same card as Leon versus Belal. In that matchup, I would lean Shavkat as of now. But if JDM runs through Gilbert Burns, we probably will learn a lot about JDM, and I might change my pitch about him. As of now, I would lean towards Shavkat there, and I do think Shavkat will get the title shot, and then now we can guarantee Leon versus Shavkat in the future with Shavkat deserving title shot, and if JDM wins, okay, who cares? It's a new stylistic matchup. JDM will now get a lot of hype on his name, and that would be a super, super fun, intriguing fight on paper, no matter who it would be. And Gilbert Burns has a very fun style to watch when it's on the feet. I don't think he's taking Leon down, so that should be a very fun fight as well on paper. But I will say this, Leon Edwards isn't the most entertaining fighter. Now, is he very technically sharp and really, really skilled? Yes, I'm not taking that away from him. He is super good. Against Colby Covington, I don't think it was the most impressive performance. Did he look sharp and did he look technically sound? Yes, but I think when you see Colby Covington in the 4th round, kind of hobbling around on his leg, it's literally turning purple. You can, beat him a little bit more convincingly, beat him a little bit more dominantly, go for the finish, do something more than just, minorly outstriking him, clearly winning the decision. But I think Leon Edwards could have won that in a more dominant way. Now, what I want to say, I think a Shavkat, a JDM, or Gilbert Burns would push the pressure on him, forcing Leon to be in a much more entertaining fight, similarly to how Kamaru Usman did in the 3rd fight once Leon stuffed the takedowns. And not only that, there's not going to be much takedowns coming out of JDM, Shavkat, or Gilbert Burns, in my opinion, because if there are any, Leon would more than likely be able to stuff him with somewhat ease. I don't really believe in Shavkat's offensive wrestling because I know that's what some people will be thinking right now. Well, Shavkat's a great wrestler. He's got great grappling. His offensive wrestling is something I do question. I don't think it's on the level of Kamaru Usman, on the level, I don't even want to say Colby Covington because maybe not that level of Colby Covington. But yeah, let's say he gets through Belal Muhammad. That's just another wrestler that he'll be able to stuff the takedowns from, keep it on the feet. I think he stuffs the takedowns from Shavkat Rakhmonov, and it will be a mainly striking fight in that matchup. Yeah, but I think Leon would beat all 3 of those as I predict it now, unless I see something crazy out of one of those 3 fighters in their next couple of fights. Where was I going with this? Oh, Leon is not super entertaining. He's very good at kind of just like technically, minorly outstriking his opponents, making it a very technical and rangy fight on the feet. And that's ultimately what I see him doing with some of these opponents, but they will push a pressure, forcing Leon to be a little bit more high output, more high volume, and getting him into some much more uncomfortable scenarios on the feet because they all have power and they all have the tools to potentially put him out or land a very, very big shot that he has to respect. So that's why it's so interesting in my opinion. I'm not going to say that it's going to go out there and be one of the all-time classics, but it's a much more interesting fight on paper, and I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. So now we have to find the next title challenger after that. And that's going to come back to Colby Covington and Wonderboy Thompson. Why I think that fight should be next and where I think it should be booked is UFC 300. I mean, they're both kind of old guys that are veterans, big names, and it just seems like a UFC 300 type of fight. That might be Wonderboy Thompson's retirement fight, and if Colby Covington loses, it probably is his retirement fight. But yeah, I think Colby Covington would want to take that fight. He already called out Wonderboy Thompson, and I'm not a big believer in, just giving Colby Covington a layup fight or the easiest fight in the division, but it just kind of does make sense. There's nothing else you can really do with Colby Covington. He's not going to accept many fights. Just have him fight Wonderboy Thompson, and if he wins, then you put him against Ian Gary, and if Ian Gary beats him, you give him a title shot. And that will be the third title challenger and the final one that I'll get to in this video. I think Ian Gary beats Jeff Neal, and then from there he'll be in the position to potentially find a title elimination bout or a high-level fighter that is ranked like a Colby Covington. He has already said multiple times that he wants to take on Colby Covington. He really dislikes Colby Covington. There's already some bad blood there. Colby's already talked some crap. I think the UFC would want to make this fight by any means necessary, and Ian Gary definitely can lose this fight, but if he goes through Jeff Neal, I think he will have improved enough by the time he fights Colby Covington. He would be able to stuff the takedowns, most of them. I do think he probably gets taken down, but he has shown a good ability to get back up to his feet. He's gotten taken down twice by Song Kanan, and then once each by Gabe Green and Darian Weeks, so I am concerned about that. But if Ian Gary goes out there and beats Colby Covington, that grows his name massively, and he is an up-and-coming UFC star who has made a lot of headlines already this far in his career. So eventually, Ian Gary versus Leon Edwards after Ian Gary beats Colby Covington and makes himself the biggest name in the division. With that being said, I don't think that's the number one scenario you have to go for. Oh, you have to do Colby versus Wonderboy. Just keep Colby somewhat active, because there's going to be no hype if Ian Gary, beats a Colby Covington without a win. If Colby Covington goes out there and loses to Wonderboy Thompson, we'll probably have Ian Gary take on maybe Belal Muhammad, or just a fighter coming off a loss that's at the top of the division and has free time, if that makes sense. So, yeah, ideally, the third title challenger from now is Ian Gary. Keep this welterweight division active, because there can be some fun fights in this division. You just gotta fucking keep the contenders fighting, because this division has been so inactive in the past. Colby said he's wanted to stay active. Get on his ass about that. Please make him fight Wonderboy soon. If he wants a Wonderboy matchup, force him to take it soon. The other fights in the division that I kind of want to book are Sean Brady versus Vicente Luque. And outside of that, the rest of the rankings really are booked right now when I'm looking at it. Kevin Holland's fighting MVP. I think Kevin Holland wins that fight, and then you could probably book him somewhere there. Neil Magny's fighting the Canada guy, Mike Mallet. I'm not sure who I'm picking in that matchup. I don't think Mike Mallet is that good, but I think Neil Magny is not good either. And then Michael Chiesa and Renat Fakhretdinov are the two remaining guys that are ranked. I don't see them fighting each other. I don't think Michael Chiesa wants to fight anytime soon. And Renat Fakhretdinov, they'll probably have him fight someone outside of the rankings, seeing that the rest of the division is booked up, and also seeing that he just came to a draw against Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. So, yeah, I mean, the next title challenger is Belal Muhammad. The winner of that fight will then take on the winner of JDM / Gilbert Burns winner versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. I know that was kind of complex there, but that fight alone ensures that there's a new, fresh title challenger. It ensures a title elimination bout, and it ensures that there is a fun prospect at the top challenging either Leon Edwards or Belal Muhammad in a very interesting fight. And then after that, we just got to pray Ian Gary beats Colby Covington, so we have a new, fresh contender, a new star. And yeah, that's how I'm going to conclude this video. I don't love the welterweight division. I've never been the biggest fan of it. I've been very critical of it, but there are some fun matches we can make, and with the correct matchmaking, as I believe that I have laid out throughout this video, we can make it fun again. So yeah, with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.